Such a long way, in every way, from the place they've left behind. A group of holidaymakers like no other.
Let's all jump in! Yeah.
1, 2, 3!
The bereaved, the survivors, the neighbours who watched Grenfell Tower burn. More than 60 people invited to spend a week in Cornwall, organised and paid for by people here they'd never met.
Coming to Cornwall, things are slower here. In a good way. I know people say, you know, but Cornwall for me, it's been nice to just take everything in very slowly. And we're here for a week. Been here for a week, and I feel like I've been here for a while.
Hanan Wahabi lived on the 9th floor of Grenfell Tower with her husband and 2 children. They escaped in the early hours of the morning.
The loss of our home, it's hard. You know, I think within our flat, I think the biggest loss for me was photos of my children when they were born. So, I mean, my son's 17 and my daughter's 9, so that's many years of photos. So actually coming to Cornwall has been good. We can create new memories. But you know, our biggest loss obviously is my family, that we've lost family, and that's going to take a long time. Yeah.
Like all but one of the big group of Londoners, this is the first time Hanan's 9-year-old daughter Sarah has been to Cornwall. It's been a brutal few months for her and the other children, their own sadness tied up in the grief of the adults around them.
When she was sad about what happened, she just so sad she actually collapsed. She got up, she was walking, and then she was so sad she collapsed onto the floor and just started crying.
And can I just ask you, how difficult has it been for you to see your mummy sad?
I don't know, it's just worrying how she felt, just worrying. It's just shock, like how she got just so sad.
And her 17-year-old brother Zach, who carried her out of the burning tower block, he's still struggling too.
After the accident, now he plays around and everything. He does what he used to do, but when you mention it, he just changes the subject. Like, he changes the subject. Imagine if my mum says a question about Grenfell, he just says, "Sarah, come play football with me," or something like that.
It's Hanan's own brother she thinks about, constantly. Abdulaziz lived upstairs from her on the 21st floor with his wife and 3 children. He'd asked her to have dinner with him that night, but she couldn't. He and his family didn't make it out. They'd been told to stay put by firefighters.
That's hard, very hard. I don't even know what to think about that, you know. I don't know, maybe I could have persuaded him more. When I left, I was able to see where I was going. By the time I'd made it downstairs and I called him and he tried to leave his flat, he couldn't see. You know.
That's been very difficult for a lot of the families, hasn't it?
Yeah,
that advice.
The advice that he should have stayed put, and the advice and the fact that I know that he did make it down and was sent back up. But I do know that he left the flat and he was on his way down, and he and some neighbours were sent back up.
That must be very tough to know.
And the neighbours that had left with him did attempt again, and they made it out. I'm angry. It shouldn't have happened, and it was preventable. and I was on the lead committee. I was on the committee that had asked for the safety checks, and we weren't listened to.
And what do you feel about that?
Oh, well, it makes me angry. It makes me angry. I mean, can't change what happened. Yeah. Sorry.
Feel let down?
Definitely let down. Definitely let down. And whatever they do now, it will not make an ounce of difference for us personally, because they will not be able to bring my family back. But I just hope that now what's happened, they will then know their mistakes, learn from it, and never let this happen again to anybody. Anybody.
The holiday has been extended not just to people who lived in the tower, but in the blocks around it. Eunicia Harding was evacuated from her flat with her family and watched from the road as the fire took hold.
The noise still rings in my ears of the screams, and they placed us in front of the block, and then it's like seeing your community burn. That block haunts us, and that's my son. He's only 6. That's his memories. I mean, what 6-year-old should ever have to see or witness a tower block burning?
And have you seen much change in your little one?
I've seen change. He's happy to be here. He was scared of water before. Now he's in a wetsuit and he's in the water, paddling away on the ferry, doing things that he's never had an opportunity to do before. The fact that people have come together, words can't explain. It's quite an emotional thing, because we just walk around the town and we have people saying, "Are you okay?" We helped, we've offered this, we've offered that. So the fact that they've reached out to families that they don't even know is speechless, and it's something that we'll never forget.
As well as losing her uncle and aunt, Sarah lost 3 young cousins that day. Finding new friends here to play with has clearly been a help.
When that time happened, I didn't think anything about anything happy from that day, so I couldn't actually, so I was so sad, and now I'm just really happy. It just helps us forget about everything. Like having fun with my mum is changed, because I've never seen my mum that excited before, because jumping around, I've never seen her do that. So, yeah, she doesn't do that in London, so we're having a great time.
All holidays must end, but for Hanan, the end of this one is particularly hard. She must return to the city where she'd always lived with her brother, but which will never be the same again.
They say that we can move on and they'll give us a new home, but knowing for me that my brother won't be there, I'm finding that very, very, very hard to deal with. I did view a place and I broke down because he wasn't there. I think that once I make that step one, it makes it real. What happened for me now. I feel that maybe it was a dream and it didn't happen. But as soon as I then move into a new property, it makes it real, and it's not that it will never go back to the way it was. Yeah.
And you enjoyed living so close to your brother?
Yes. I did enjoy living so close to my brother, you know. Run out of sugar, I just had to go upstairs. Yeah.
What can you tell me about him and the family?
Oh, he could speak for England. He was an amazing father. They were a fantastic family, though. He loved my mum. He was a very good person, and they were a good family. This is the perfect place to think about him, because this is what he would have liked. He would have liked all of what we've done here and what we've seen here. I feel sad, that he's not here, but but what I see here, I think of him.
Joining us now is Hanan Mohabi, who we saw there in Jackie Long's piece. And also with us is Esme Page, who set up the Cornwall Hugs Grenfell charity. Hanan, your daughter Sarah said, for the first time since the fire, I saw Mum have moments of happiness. And I wondered what it's like being back.
Well, coming back on the train, it was quite hard. I could feel like the anxiety just all building up again. Coming back to London, it's been hard. It's been hard coming back to where it all happened.
Have you been able in any way to regain your balance and begin to think more positively and connectedly about the future? No.
Oh, yeah, no.
Esme, you had this idea just a few weeks ago. How did the community respond?
It was pretty overwhelming, really. It was a kind of wave of kindness. Originally, it was
without you asking?
Well, it was just a simple post. It was tentative. It was, imagine if we did this. And
post where?
On Facebook.
Right.
Yeah, which was, I mean, I'm not a big Facebook person, so I've had to learn quite a lot. But yeah, we just got hundreds of offers of accommodation in the first 24 hours. And so then I thought, okay, there's real energy for this, there's real heart for it. Let's do it. Let's find a way.
And the university provided that for nothing in halls of residence?
Yes.
Is that right?
So there's two kinds of holiday that we're running, individual holidays. So lots of people have offered individual accommodation and people have been coming. But this one was particularly special because the Penryn campus offered a group of flats for us so that people could effectively almost like live on a street together in their separate flats. What
about the train? That must cost a fortune.
Well, yes, but that was kindly offered, yes, by the train company. So that was fantastic. And that meant that they actually took over a whole carriage and came down together. And then so they could start getting to know, because some people knew each other already, but others didn't. So there was it started literally from the Paddington Bear statue. And that's where the holiday started.
Well, Hanan, you have 3 children and you cooped up in a hotel.
Yeah, my husband and 2 children.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
This is going to be, you can't really go on like that.
No.
Isn't that a dynamic in and of itself to say, I must move on?
It is a dynamic that I feel that I must move on, but it's quite hard to take that step to move on. For me, moving on and moving into a new accommodation just makes it more real. And I find that really hard to deal with. I know people say, let's house them, but actually taking that step into a new home is really hard for us.
Are you getting any therapeutic help?
Well, going to Cornwall was very therapeutic. Very therapeutic. We did some sculpting and having, a massage. That was very therapeutic, going to the beach. But here, it was quite hard having children, and it's been the summer break. Having the summer break and going to counselling, for example, I found quite hard. So I'm starting that this Thursday when Sarah starts school. Sarah has been having therapy, but I haven't as yet.
So that may be the big push forward.
Hopefully that will help.
Esme, I mean, you've achieved this amazing event. How do you go on from here?
Well, we'd like to put on, it's been a great team effort, so, and there's clearly a lot of energy. We'd love to put on another one in half term. We're looking for another accommodation provider that would come forward and offer a group of units, because that works really well. People have said how healing it was.
These would be more people who've not probably
Yes,
been on this.
I was speaking with Eddie Defan just earlier today.
He's the organiser of the action group at
Grenfell United, and he was just saying how many survivor families would like to come. And there was just this real healing of creating new community with each other. People spoke a lot about that. So we'd love to do that, and we need those units of accommodation together so we can create that. And that's what we're looking for.
Hanan, next week, the inquiry starts.
Yes.
Do you have confidence in it?
Well, not really. We'll wait and see, because I want them to look at what happened before, not just what happened that night. The build-up, the mistakes that were made.
Will you engage with it? Will you give evidence?
Yes, I have already given evidence.
And what do you really want it to achieve? What do you want to hear it tell you? What do you want it to achieve in terms of change?
For me, it's for this not to happen again. That's the biggest change, for this not to happen again.
But do you have confidence that it can do that?
No. I don't really have much confidence because I think it's very important they look at what happened before, not just what happened on that night. What happened before, you know, I was on the committee before we asked for fire safety checks. That didn't happen. And even coming down the stairs, I got lost coming down the stairs because I hadn't been down the new part of the building. So there were two exits. There was an exit into the new residential area, there was an exit the way out. I was lucky that I chose the right way out. Otherwise, it would have taken me longer to get out.
Do you think there's anything there in the inquiry that would give you confidence? I mean...
Well, would give me confidence. Well, I think, is it bad for me to say that? I think somebody needs to pay. Yeah. I think a prison sentence needs to happen.
And this last week that you've had, a little window in which you did develop hope.
Yeah.
Can you build on it?
Definitely. Building on that community. Like Esme said, going out there, I met other people that weren't necessarily from the Tower, but from the surrounding estate, and you could see that community being built again.
Well, Hanan, thank you very, very much for coming, and thank you indeed, Esme too. Thank you.